Hello, folks, and welcome to the Keystone Arches. Most of you folks have been out here before, I guess. We're going to start down here, Old Herbert Cross Road, which sections of this are parts of the old Pontusic Turnpike, which was a stage road from Springfield to Albany. That was 8 days by stagecoach. Of course, you had to stop every night, and you'd go to some inn or something and sleep there. So. But then the railroad cut it down to 8 hours once that was open. And this was the main route of transportation, and the railroad wanted to buy it out so they could use parts of it. This was the first railroad even built through wilderness. Nobody had ever done that, so everything had to be cleared with axes and stuff. It was a lot of work. So they bought the turnpike. They didn't use it all, but the only way they could do it was to buy the entire thing. That's all they would do was sell them the whole turnpike. So they used parts of it, and right up to the end, the turnpike people were working on the turnpike, upgrading so they could get more money. So even while the railroad guys were getting ready, they were still improving the turnpike. It was interesting. So we can head down here. First bridge, you get your first little taste real quick at the bottom of the hill.
I remember the day when some of the stuff floated that way. I do remember being out behind
Hi.
Excited?
Yes.
Have you guys been here before?
Yeah.
Built simultaneously by crews, and they put their little flourishes in it. This one's really interesting because it's just cut stone throughout all your sidewalls and stuff. Most of the other arches are using schist, just like a fieldstone wall or something. The only thing that has to be cut is the arch. That's your whole structure right there. And it's got to be good stone with a lot of integrity, like Chester blue granite. So you do that, you cut all your stones, make that arch. Everything else is kind of just superfluous. The side walls just hold the what?
Sorry. No, I was talking Bill.
Once you got your arch, the two side walls take you up to grade, and then you just fill it in with chipped rock and stuff, grout, not really trash, like you wouldn't put trees in there or something that would rot, but stone chips and all that, and it's just filled in, so it's hollow in the middle. And then those parapet walls, the top 2 rows, that's to hold your ballast stone in place when you got your track structure up there. So all that little stone doesn't just roll off the side of the bridge. That's what that was all about. So on the bridges that were abandoned, they took the track structure out, and then all of a sudden you got 2 rows of stone just sitting there, and it's not mortared or anything. So the kids decide that's a good idea to knock all that stuff in the river. That's one of the problems with the other bridges, the abandoned bridges. We've been rescuing them. We got a little team going. So we got, 30 stones or something out of the river. We're getting them at the rate of about a stone a half an hour, which isn't bad with a record truck. Yeah. We're stockpiling them. We're working with Alan Williams, Chester Granite Company. Eventually we're going to replace them, but we're going to pin them and mortar them so they can't go anywhere.
Look at them all down here. This is a really good indicator of good water quality. And then if we found that, and we found a dragonfly there,
Yeah.
and maybe a mayfly, and a real stonefly,
Yeah.
even though we have really good water quality, because they like to identify different species and have a real abundance of different kinds.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. If you come to that long way, and probably under the water, it would crawl out.
That's interesting.
It's called a caddisfly.
Caddisfly?
And they're all different. Some of them are really tidy. Like
Yeah.
these are kind of like, I'm just a bunch of sticks for don't eat this. And some of them are I call them anal retentive because they're little log ties. So there's lots and lots of different kinds.
Yeah. That's really cool. Thank you.
Well, we've snorkeled under here, and then we've seen a lot of the crayfish. Yeah. Yep. What's that? Oh, you can climb it. Sure. Go ahead. Fine.
Alexander Burney was the head of that. He built 27 bridges, culverts, and walls in this mountain section. He was able to retire about the age himself up, making a fish pond on his property with that newfangled dynamite. Yeah. Because once the Erie Canal opened, all the traffic was coming into Albany from the west, but then going down the Hudson River to New York, and Boston was cut out. That's what made them do this crazy project that people said would be as useless as a railroad to the moon. Yeah. They even considered building a canal at that first. You just realized it was way too many miles over the Berkshires, you know. But at the time, there was a lot of doubt that a steam engine could actually just work in this environment, climbing these hills. You know? At those days, a steam engine was about 12,000 pounds. So just to have that attractive effort just by the weight of the locomotive alone was pretty sketchy. Even some of the board of directors kind of doubted that they could do it. But they hired George Washington Whistler, Whistler's father, out of West Point. Well, he was already out of the Army by that time, but West Point was the only engineering school in the country. So when railroad fever hit, everybody went there to get their engineers. You know? And Whistler turned out to be one of the best in the long run. He had built a number of railroads. Him and his brother-in-law were responsible for almost every mile of railroad in New England up until this point. And he built the first shops in New England that were capable of building locomotives from scratch. And he had a big effect on the industry. So he was definitely the guy. And like I said, this is the first railroad over a mountain, first railroad built through wilderness, first railroad built on speculation, first railroad built by large numbers of immigrant laborers. This railroad included the longest bridge in the world over the Connecticut River, 1,258 feet, and they used an experimental design, the Howe Truss, to do that. So they were really pushing the envelope there, you know. First cluster of stone arch railroad bridges built in America. So there's a whole list of accomplishments that happened here. And in 1880, 40 years after Whistler died, the head of the Boston Society of Engineers wrote a biography of him, and he claimed that no one had done more to establish correct methods in this new industry than Whistler, and left a more enviable legacy. And by that time, they had already built the Transcontinental Railroad. This guy still said Whistler was the best. You know, this was such a big deal going over a mountain that the Russians, the Tsar of Russia, Nicholas I, sent emissaries here to hire Whistler, and he built the first railroad in Russia. If you think about that, you know, I mean, Russia had some of the best engineers in the world. You know, look at the cathedrals and stuff they built that they would bring an American in. It's pretty amazing. You know, it kind of attests to just how good the guy was. You know? And it's just amazing that he's been completely overshadowed by his wife, who's famous for sitting in the chair. So part of our mission is to get George his 15 minutes.
Yeah.
All right, we can move on. Yeah, well, New Hampshire, Middlefield. And the part in Berkshire County, actually the town of Chester thought that they had abandoned the road, shut it down, but then we had to research it to even get access. And it turned out Chester didn't have any business shutting the road down because it was a county road. So we got it open again. But then Middlefield had abandoned their section of the road. And I guess they knew it was a county road. So when a road is abandoned, the landowners take the road, either all the whole thing or half and half. And in this case, Fish and Wildlife owns this bank. So that's how tenuous our connection with the Arches is. We can't get in legally from the other end, the west end. So this is half of this road is as tenuous as it gets. Tenuous, yeah. Well, these days, probably would have to stop. And there was a lot of eyewitnesses at that time, and they said it took 20 minutes for the water to go by any one spot. You know? Wow. And when it hit the bridges, it made like a bathtub drain. The water was sucking under the bridges and make a big whirlpool in front. And then there was houses in the water, and they come down and boom, boom. That's what happened to this one. This got knocked down. I think they were just low enough. But two that we're going to see abandoned, they were already abandoned, so nobody would have cared if they got knocked down, but they must have made it because they were high and the water got under it. So here you see all these cut stones in the woods, and right here, up along the road and stuff. Those are all arch stones that this guy dragged over here with a bulldozer or something. He was building this artist colony here, the Berkshire Art Center. Come up a little bit. Cross-shaped skylight in the building that you look up and see that tower. It had a clock and had religious figures painted on these big barn doors that would open for this big kiln and stuff. There was a lot of catwalks and circular staircases and everything in there, tile inlays. It was really nice. This woman, this real estate developer in New Jersey, was married to this lady. She was a patron of the arts, and she wanted to start something along the lines of Jacob's Pillow, but for artists. This is going to be like a retreat, and you can come up here and work. But she got kind of out of hand, I guess. They said when she hit about 200,000, her husband got interested in what was going on. See what the hell she was doing up here. Apparently, they had this sculpture that was acting as a sponsor for the whole thing. And I guess him and the guy's wife had gotten a little affair going on. I forget his name, but his resume. I was reading some of the history of him. The other thing that really struck me was that he used to draw pictures for Ding Dong School. Remember that way back in the 50s? You guys probably remember Ding Dong School with Miss Francis, and that was like before Romper Room. This guy was a famous sculptor. That's the only thing that stuck with me is he used to draw Ding Dong School. And this was all a very futuristic architecture. Looked like a set from a space movie or something. Really something. Up here in the 60s, there was still furniture in there. Wandering around and slowly. Actually, the house got stolen over the next 30 years. I was just new to driving, just got my license, young kid. I come up and there was always trucks parked. People, they cut those staircases out with torches. And, the mechanism for the giant clock, and they stole that. They actually took the whole part of it, the whole place, all the way, even shipping the blocks and all this stuff. Kind of a shame that this is a new homestead, That's his front door, that big flat rock. That would have been his stoop for the front. And a beautiful spot. You're right next to the river. Go fishing. Animals come down and water themselves. You nail them. You got, you're hunting right outside your door.
Yeah.
And
Protected from the weather.
yeah, and when the turnpike was open, the stagecoach came through. He could even mail a letter, hand it to the guy on the stagecoach. But then when the railroad came, trains just went right by, and he was back to being out in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, I just happened to run across that and doing research. And
What's his name?
this matches up. Thomas Root
Root.
of Enfield, Connecticut.
So you could say he's a root seller.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
But I'm bummed.
$1,000. They're real proud of him on the Old Mill Trail. They say how they had these, I think it was somebody from the trustees was helping them with the bridges, and how they laid everything out in the field and they counted all the parts, and they had each bridge was all separate and stuff. And I told them about this outfit. We had a little company. It was like one of those, this is my brother Darryl, this is my other brother Darryl. They drove everything out here in a pickup truck and hauled it here, but they did a good job. And then they poured concrete.
Yeah, right.
No.
Swigging.
No. Dude, a big rope.
It's not even here anymore.
No, and then swing off there.
Oh, okay. It freaked me out. I'm like, no!
There was a couple of trees coming right out of the side of the arch.
Don't do it.
One coming right outside Big Street, went right up. And there was another one behind it. Well, Harry just stood there on the side of the arch and cut that tree.
Oh.
Then he went out and he stood on the stump.
Yes. Well, we had the climbers out here. I was very happy to have them all fire stuff.
Well, Harry was a mountain climber.
Kick it!
Whoa! Nice! Woo! Here she comes! Choo choo!
The tracks, quick. where it crossed with this railroad. Oh, it comes out a little bit.
It's incredible. The height is just amazing.
Sort of see the process, some of the process of the bridge building going on here in this particular bridge.
Okay, I'm gonna get Dave falling down.
I know. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, now see that little shelf right on the spring line? Dude, what they call the spring line is where it starts to turn. And that little shelf sticking out there. See it on the bridge?
Where are we looking?
The bridge on the spring line. That's where it starts to curve up. See that one shelf that's left there?
Oh yeah.
Left, of course, the stone sticking out.
Right.
That's how they built the arch. They put a scaffold, wooden scaffold there, resting on that shelf and a similar shelf on this side that was in the shape of the arch. That held everything together until they got the keystone in place. Then, ordinarily, they take the scaffold down and they usually dress those stones off so they were flat like they did on this side. See, there's no shelf. For some reason, they never did that. But it's kind of cool because it shows you how the process worked, you know? Interesting or what?
It is.